YouTube, and Twitter.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, and it is, what day is it? Today is December 14th, and it is 5 p.m. almost. And we are a portion of the Police Accountability Board that'll be meeting to do some job interviews for this is our job committee today. And so I'm going to introduce and do a roll call for the board members that are present. And then we will, Connor, I think, our executive director, you're going to go ahead and give us a presentation, correct?
That's correct. A very brief presentation.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and Dr. Ricky Harvey, and this is the mayoral seat.
Present.
Reverend Matthew Nikoloff, and that is City Council seat South.
Hey.
And Danielle Tucker, and you are Alliance seat. Hi. Okay. So I know. So she's still transitioning from work. So
Present.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Wilson. Just for members of the public, the PAB's job committee is comprised of 4 members of the board right now, and so this is enough to have a quorum to move forward. Thank you all for joining us tonight. If you are watching, again, the Jobs Committee's role is to make sure that PAB's hiring process is fair, open, and equitable. In some cases, the Jobs Committee does conduct interviews of certain candidates to assist the PAB's hiring committees, which are almost always comprised of staff members. In this way, we can make sure that the board and the staff are always on the same page about what kinds of candidates we are hiring. I know that people may be tuning into this meeting to learn a little bit more about what's going on, either with your application or the PAB's job situation more generally. So I'm going to give a very brief presentation on where we are at. So just, oh no. There we go. So there have been some progress and some delays in our implementation schedule for hiring staff at PAB. So this past weekend, the City of Rochester's Human Resources Department completed the initial screening of all of our applications that were submitted during the month of October. This means that PAB can now conduct interviews for all positions that we initially listed, the initial 20 some odd positions that we listed. PAB has begun making job offers, but the vast majority of our positions are unfilled. We have only conducted interviews for a portion of our jobs, and for many of the jobs where we have conducted interviews, we have yet to make offers. For some positions, we have made offers for some slots, but there are still slots open. So example, our staff attorney position. So please do not worry if you have not necessarily heard back from the PAB. If your position, that you have applied for is still open, that means we're conducting interviews, etc. You'll know because the City of Rochester has not yet emailed you. The city will email the public, anyone who applied, if a position is filled. But if you haven't heard back and you're concerned about the status of your application, please contact the Human Resources Department at hr@cityofrochester.gov first. HR can tell you exactly what's happening with your application, whether or not it's been screened out for a lack of minimum qualifications, etc. That is HR's job. If after contacting HR, you want additional details on the hiring process, please feel free to email pab@cityofrochester.gov. We'll also know that some positions may be relisted in the future with different minimum qualifications, or just relisted to make sure that we can have additional applications coming in. And finally, there are 10 new positions open at PAB. You can visit cityofrochester.gov/jobs to view these positions. One position that's very important is accountability inspector. This position pays between about $61,000 and $80,000 a year. These jobs are responsible for investigating officer wrongdoing and investigating policies, practices, and procedures of the Rochester Police Department, reviewing them and helping the board understand the pros, the cons, the deficiencies, and where we can make progress. You're also responsible for writing reports about all these different kind of inspections that you'll be conducting. And the minimum requirements for this job are a bachelor's and 1 year of experience in criminal justice, legal affairs, or internal investigations, or 4 years of that experience without a bachelor's degree. So this is a fairly open position. Lots of different people can apply for it. If you've already applied for a job at PAB, please consider applying for this one as well. tell your family, tell your friends that we are continuing to hire and post new positions as the months roll on. Chair Wilson, with that, that is my brief update on the hiring situation at PAB. I'm happy to answer any questions the committee may have.
So I don't really have any questions, but I'm glad that it was clarified to reach out to Human Resources. So I know that a lot of community members did have a question about who they should be reaching out to if they wanted to get a status update on their application. So thank you for clarifying.
HR first, then PAB.
Great. Are there any other questions, folks?
None from me.
None? Reverend Nikoloff, anything?
Sorry, no, that sounds great.
Okay. Right.
Chair Wilson, just to let you know, the state's open meetings law allows boards and committees of boards to go into it, to adjourn into executive session to deal with very specific subject matters. One of those subject matters is anything related to an offer of employment to a specific person. Part of the reason the open meetings law allows this is to ensure that people who are being interviewed for positions don't necessarily have to have all their public information out there in the public when we're discussing them. And so given that the rest of today's Jobs Committee meeting is devoted to such interviews, you may decide to adjourn into such an executive session.
Great. So the vote is on the floor that we're going to go ahead and to adjourn into executive session to do some interviews for different applications that have come up that the job committee needs to review. So we're going to all in favor of going to executive session for that reason. Okay.
Aye.
Motion passes. So we will now go ahead and adjourn into executive session.
Thank you, members of the public. We will not be coming back. The rest of our time is devoted to interviews. If you have any questions about what's going on at PAB, please email pab@cityofrochester.gov. We will see you at next week for another Jobs Committee meeting and then a board meeting at the end of the month.